What up, what up? It's the Chief Kaseek Ortiz.
Tyrant333. This is Figure It the Fuck Out.
Yes, sir.
And we want to talk to you today about, in this video, about name changes for artists. And how impactful is the name to you for the people who listen to the different artists and just for the artist himself. And do we even think names fucking matter, really, as an artist? Like, that's just the main topic we want to cover. So, we actually got a fire artist in here. You all know him by now, Kaseek. But his name wasn't always Kaseek Ortiz. So,
right.
I think he has a good way to shed light on that.
Yeah. Damn, so I've only mentioned my name maybe one time in one episode. And, somebody caught it and said it to me. I was like, nobody calls me my real name. But, when I started doing music, my first rap name was Jason X. And Jason's my real name, but people believe it's Kaseek. And I kind of like it that way. It's just call me Kaseek. Don't call me Jason. That shit is weird to me. But, my name was Jason X. And honestly, if I got the microphone tatted with the Jason mask on it, I always felt like I was the serial killer. Because at this time, I was freestyling. So I was killing everything. If I stepped in the room, I was demolishing. So I look at it like, I'm a killer. So I'm Jason X.
Like OJ.
Yeah, facts. I think my love for Halloween movies and, Jason Voorhees, it rhymed with Jason Ortiz. So I just fucking call myself Jason X.
That's catchy. I didn't really realize that. Okay,
yeah, so that match. And then I was a huge fan of Martin Luther King, so Malcolm X. So I was like, you know what, how about him and DMX? Because DMX stood for Dark Man Unknown, X meant unknown. I felt like Malcolm X kind of did the same thing when he called himself Malcolm X, is because the unknown that he was diving into. So on this, I loved horror movies, and then I was on this deeper sense of I am the unknown. Damn, this shit could go real fucking deep.
Wow.
But
yeah,
I changed it to Jason X, and the unknown was because I was actually having an identity crisis within myself growing up, being biracial.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a whole nother
Damn, mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop situation. It was I just felt like I didn't know who the fuck I was. So I'll call myself Jason X. It was I was a killer in the game, but I was I don't know who I am either.
Wow.
Identity crisis shit. Yeah. Maybe we should talk about that another time, but
no,
basically
that's where the origin of it all came from. Yeah. And I do see that a lot with some of the artists. I've seen artists that changed their name. Some of them was just it was deep, and it was some of them are so deep it was over people's heads. Yeah. Well, back then, that didn't work. Then you saw a bunch of littles come out. Yeah. Little John, little Wayne, little this, little that. Yeah. Little Hot Rod, little whatever little there was. And then you saw a bunch of youngs when these niggas weren't that young. Right. Right. Young this, young Jeezy, young that. Right. So I like how the names these days are a lot different. And then a little bit after that, I'll go a little further. In the 2010 eras, you saw people putting their little gang in front of their name. Like YBN Namir and, YDD this or,
Corday, when Corday had his
YFN or whatever, YNW Melly and, you saw a lot of that, putting their little crew incorporated into their name.
Definitely the evolution of names.
And now you don't know what these motherfuckers' name might be.
No, I mean, I really fuck with this dude. His name is Problem out of the West Coast. But he went and switched back his name to his real name. His name is Jason something. And now that's just what he goes by. He dropped Problem and he's just going by his government name.
Is it going better for him as an artist, would you say, since he's done that?
I don't know, because he just released his... I want to say yes, because his first project that has been released under that name, officially, is a project that he did with DJ Quick. While DJ Quick was saying he was going to retire from the game, basically. Yeah. So he makes a quick comeback. He spins the block real quick with Problem, and they drop the album, but his name is Jason, his actual Jason, his real name. LaRussell does it. LaRussell, I think his name is LaRussle Thomas. That's just his name.
That's his name. Yeah, okay.
LaRussell.
I didn't know that. That's a good gem.
Even Russ. I think Russ is I think his name is Russell. I can't say his last name. I know some Italian last name. But a lot of people are kind of going with their main name. You know what I'm saying? Their government name.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you definitely see that. One of the most famous ones, Kanye West.
Yeah.
Real personal.
Right.
Like, he was one of the main ones I remember doing that, like coming out with just straight name. And I was like,
and
but his name is
good,
so
though.
different. It does sound good.
Right. It's not like,
you know, his name is not like Earl Stevens or something like,
right.
Which, you know, that might work for somebody. At the end of the day, the music's got to be real fire. And it could work. What about Tory Lanez? Is that his actual name?
No, his name is Daystar, which I think is crazy that he didn't go with Daystar.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I would have thought this dude's name was Tory Lanez.
Right.
Okay, that's some news to me.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that we're talking about it, I don't know if names actually really matter. You know what I'm saying? It's really us asking everybody else that's watching this if they think that names actually matter, because to me, when you say Kanye West, that just sounds fire. Kendrick Lamar, that sounds fire. You know, J. Cole's still short for Jermaine.
But do we think it's fire? And I'll admit, on the J. Cole one, I thought that one was like bland when he first came out.
Okay.
You know, but that's why I can attest to when they get hot and they come out with some legendary shit, that all changes. It's like, the name's fire now.
Right.
Like,
because some of it is kind of fire.
The name fire.
Yeah.
Like, some people have random ass I always touch on sports somehow.
Yeah.
But some people have random ass numbers. When you first saw him as a rookie or just a scrub, you're like, that number is ugly as hell.
I feel you.
But when they start balling out, he's like, yo, that number's legendary.
Yeah.
Like, a good one in my head is Luka. I think he's like 77 or something. I'm like, what the when you see 77, you're like, what the fuck? But then you see him ball, you're like, okay, let me get that 77 Doncic jersey. Like,
right.
You know?
I guess it definitely is what you make
I
it.
feel like it's the same effect.
Because like Beyonce, she has a fire name. Like Beyonce, like you don't really know too many Beyonce. So like her running with that as the brand, that shit sounds fire.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, basically, I guess to spin the block on, you know, my name transition, it went from Jason X to X-Rated. And I actually made a song, real young, dumb, full of cum, and was rapping about how I'm X-rated and how X-rated I am or whatever. And like after I did that, it just kind of stuck where people just kept calling me X-rated or X for short. And all that shit was all smooth up until I got like to be a huge fan of Brother Lynch Hung. And Brother Lynch Hung used to rap about his mans that had, you know, got caught up for murder and was doing life. I guess his name was X-rated, you know, and I remember hearing Brother Lynch and I was like, he can't be talking about me because I ain't never been to jail. And you know what I'm saying? Like in my young, dumb brain, I'm like, what's he talking about? And then like I stuck with that name for a minute, but then I had always knew there was another X-rated. And at the time I was young, obviously. Like I said, I was trying to find his address in jail so I could like write him to be like, yo, I'm going by the name X-rated. I was wondering if I could have your blessing. I never really got around to it, but that's what I wanted to do. Like as like a good faith, like I ain't trying to bite from you. You know, I come from that era. It's like, you can't bite nobody's shit or whatever. And I wanted to write to him, whatever. Couldn't find it. I was just real young anyways. And then eventually I ended up just like transitioning out of that name anyways, because I just didn't want to copycat. And he, you know, that dude X-Rated is a legend. Shout out to X-Rated because he actually follows me and fucks with me. So it's like, you know, shout out to you, bro. Real talk. I'm glad you out. But like,
wasn't trying to step on toes.
I wasn't trying to step on toes. I wanted something original. Plus, I did spell it regular. So it's like if you typed my name, X-R-A-T-E-D, on Google, you were just finding porn. You're not finding me.
I was going to say, you wanted to step away from the amateur porn.
Bro. Yeah, facts. Yeah. I wasn't dropping it down long enough. Not enough videos out, so I had to quit my porn career. Yeah. And then I tried to switch it by switching the letters, like the A to T. I switched that to a 4 and a 7. I was like, all right, I'll go with X-rated, but with a 4 or 7, and made the AK because I love guns, whatever. Ran with that for a little bit, and it was just like, as much as that shit was, it just looked aggressive. And it was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do away with all this shit. And full circle moment, because I was Jason the Unknown, once I started really diving into like my roots of, you know, being Puerto Rican, my family's from Puerto Rico, and just like the lineage of it all, and understanding that, you know, when slave trades were going on and they were picking up people, and they were basically, you know, all these stops happened from Cuba to Jamaica to, you know, even Mexico, Puerto Rico, like all this stuff. It was like all these Africans were basically being brought here, and they slaughtered Indians and all that stuff. So, you know, in Puerto Rican, like in Puerto Rico, our native language is supposed to be Arawak. So I was looking up, because Spanish is in our actual tongue of language, just like probably Haiti is and whatnot. It's not the actual language. It's just we got colonized on, and that's just what we speak, whether it be the French. Like that's why some of them speak French, was because they got...
Yeah, the Creole.
Yeah. So basically what ended up happening was I kind of just studied that language and understand Taino Indians and the African descent. And that's when I came up with Kaseek. Kaseek was short. Well, I went... You know how they have, like, if you look up a name, they'll show, like, the pronunciation. It'll say, you know, they'll spell it kind of funny. I basically went with the spelling that was kind of funny. But the real name is Kaseek. But the way you spell it, it just looks like Kaseek. And I was like, let me just take that and call myself Kaseek Ortiz, which means Chief Ortiz. So, you know.
So it's fully customized.
Fully customized, but then I felt like this is me. Like, this is how I've been presented. You know, every time I go around, people are like, yo, what's up, boss? Or what's up, dog? Like, you know, like, you the big dog, you this, you that. Like, I'm always like some boss in everybody else's eyes. So I was like, how do I, you know, I didn't want to call myself Boss Ortiz or King, which I probably would have went with King at first. But, you know, something, you know, large. You know, your name's Malik. Malik stands for King. You're not walking around saying King, whatever. But Malik is still the same thing.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah.
That's what it means. So
right.
Yeah, I get what
it should be King Tyrant333. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I guess you see where the Tyrant comes from, definitely.
Right.
You know?
Facts. It all makes sense. So Kaseek Ortiz made sense, and I just went with it. And I think because I did it, like I said, bro, people don't even know. Like, shout out to Low Key. Low Key, like, just figured out my name was not Kaseek the other day, like when I was with him, and he was like,
what the fuck?
So wait, what the fuck's your real name? And I was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm Jason, bro. Like, I don't. He's like, no shit. All this time, I thought you was just Kaseek. I was like, I thought it was just a real intricate name. I was like, yeah. And that's why I like it so much, because it sounds like it could be me.
Yeah.
But when I say Kaseek, motherfuckers will look at me like, are you Indian? Like, not like Native American, but are you, you know, from like...
And going into that
Saudi
part of things,
Arabia?
I think that the names for artists are definitely essential. It brings out the personality in them, what they stand for, you know, what their music is a lot about. Usually by artist's name, you can tell already what they're about right off the name. If the dude's name is Spin a Block, what do you think his music's about to be about? Like, just off that.
See what I'm talking about, Jesus? No.
No.
It might be a good ploy for that motherfucker to have a name like Spin a Block and only be a Christian, like a Christian rapper or something like that. That would be...
See, that's a good drawing.
Right.
All of a sudden, he's talking about some other stuff, you know?
Right.
And I feel like there are people out there that definitely do that, make their name outrageous to draw you in, and then it's like, they're speaking about something else. Look at Slim Shady.
Yes.
That was a perfect one. As much as people are, you know, throwing him under the mud, I don't like the new album. And
that's just fire. Yeah. Fuck y'all. Suck a dick.
Yeah. You know, like, he can rap, man. That's what I'm gonna say about him. He's got some good artistry.
For real.
And he's made some fire records on his time, you know?
Or his man's Bizarre from D12. Bizarre. His rap name was Bizarre. So if you were to listen to him, what do you think you're gonna hear? You're going to hear some bizarre shit.
It was bizarre.
Talking about him sleeping with his grandmother or something like that. Like, it's just bizarre shit. That's what you're supposed... Like, it's not like he's actually doing it. It's just the character. I think on a deeper sense, this whole episode is going to end up being deep in that sense, is that when we create these names, we're really, like, looking at ourselves as trying to be a superhero. Like, you know, there's Bruce Wayne, but then there's Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like... There's Jason Ortiz, but then there's Kaseek Ortiz.
The stage name ends up becoming bigger than the person sometimes.
Yeah.
And it becomes the person.
Right.
Some people get consumed by it.
Yeah.
They don't even, you call them by their regular name.
You're not Christopher Wallace anymore. You are Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
Like, you
had to call him by Big. It's probably, you call him Christopher, he probably look at you crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Calling me Jason, I'm going to look at you like, the fuck are you?
Exactly.
Put some respect on my motherfucking name.
For real. Ends up becoming you know? And even going with my brother, I remember his name's Ben Grizz. Ben Grizz. Ben Grizz. It says it right there in the name. You ask him where he get his name from. I've been Grizz. And it was, I had to explain it to him just like that, because he's been going at this for a while. He's been going at this longer than most of these artists out here who got the Grizzlies in their names and stuff like that. Grizz. There's actually one dude, the only other dude I knew, he's right in our same city. Shout out to Joe Grizzly and them.
Yeah.
He been had that, but we didn't even know who he was. And my brother was calling himself Ben Grizz.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we meet each other and we knew it's like, dang, we didn't even bite off each other.
Wasn't trying to step on nobody's toes.
It happened.
Right.
And then
I felt that way in that sense, even when I started joining up, because of respect to Showtime, a part of the, Joe Grizzly team. But like, I'm already familiar with him because, it's like my son's uncle and all that shit. And we performed together and I was like, damn, like I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that biting shit and none of that shit. Like everything I have is all original.
It's same with my brother. Ben Grizz came from us having the get it Grizz, getting through obstacles no matter what's in our path.
Yeah.
That saying, and he was rapping, freestyle, like I was saying, calling himself Ben Grizz. Perfect thing. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of him first starting his career, then there's a guy, T Grizzly, blowing up. Right. And we're like, he looks at me, he's like, yo, this is a real conversation between artist and manager. He goes, should I change my name?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nigga, what is your name? I said, Ben Grizz. Nigga, you Ben Grizz. Nah, you shouldn't change your name. They want to ask you, that's exactly what you say.
Right. So technically his name is really just Grizz, but he's just Ben Grizz.
He's Ben Grizz. People don't even know it. They think it's like B-E-N, like he called himself Ben. No, he Ben Grizz.
Yes, right.
Yes,
that's the thing though.
That's the breakdown right there.
The breakdown is that people still don't know his real name. They think his name is actually Ben. Like, yo, can you tell Ben that I said what's up? I'm like, who the fuck is Ben? And I'm like, oh, Ben
He's
Grizz. I was
Grizz.
like, oh.
Yeah, he's Ben Grizz.
Right. It's like you're missing the point is that it's just how it's said. You know what I'm saying? I look at that as like the motherfucker Ben Grizz. Like, we been getting it Grizz, bro. Like,
exactly.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole origin of that, man. And that's a lot of backstory that people probably wouldn't understand and probably didn't even get until now. Like, damn, all right, he's actually Grizz, not Ben. Right. A lot of motherfuckers out there calling him Ben.
Right.
And I'm still not going to give you the government, motherfucker. So how about that?
At the gas station, hey, Ben. Yeah. Ben, look at me.
And I'm still not giving you his government. So, you have to just call him Ben. Or Grizz.
If you want to see the government, then you're going to have to dive into the catalog and actually see the writer credits.
Exactly. And then on the other side of things, you got guys who became legendary off of taking somebody else's name.
Who did that?
Fucking legendary 50 Cent. 50 Cent, his name, and a lot of people might not know this, just do your research. 50 Cent was actually another gangster in New York. And I'm not saying this with no malice to 50 Cent. I actually love 50 Cent. But there was another 50 Cent in New York who was a gangster, just straight gangster, didn't do music.
Yeah.
Or I think he might have rapped, but 50 Cent just got bigger than him. And then, ended up taking his name. You all in New York, that are from New York, drop that in the comments, the full story to that. But y'all know I'm telling facts right now. But basically,
he Debo'd it.
Yeah, he somehow Debo'd that.
What name?
Just like Rick Ross. There's actually...
Rick Ross is a whole other thing. You know what I'm saying? I love Rick Ross, but...
He hijacked someone's name.
He hijacked somebody's name, and it really hurt when Freeway really got out and then sued him because he was using his name and likeness for music, and he lost. And I was like, damn, like that was like a sting. Like, especially when it's like...
And you were telling this man stories and everything and acting like this was you. Like, that's wild. And he's still rocking because at the end of the day, what really matters is dude's music and his bars.
Yeah. I'll give it to him. I do like his music.
He can rap his ass off and I'll give him that. But that is just, I just had to talk about that funniness.
Yeah, that's just hilarious.
You can even pop with someone else's name,
right.
And just keep it rocking.
Right.
Like, there's people out there who I'm sure they're calling themselves James St. Patrick or something right now. Or like, any legendary gangster you can think about, Nicky Bonds or something like that, or what's his name? The dude that was from New York. But
that's the thing though. Go ahead. Keep finishing.
No, the one that Denzel played. Who was the gangster that he played? Frank Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like niggas will do shit like that and call themselves that and just run with it,
I think even Biggie Smalls was kind of calling himself like that, Frank Lucas type shit. That's the thing though. That's what I'm talking about with this hip hop shit is that like not to bite off people, but that's where we kind of got the names from. Like not that we were necessarily uncomfortable with being ourselves, but like it was kind of like putting on the character. And I don't mean it like you're faking the funk. Some people are like faking the funk if you're talking about some of these other artists stealing names or whatever. You know, not 50, but so that only singles out one person. But like you would take these names because you wanted it to look like I am like this is what I represent. You know, like if I'm a mobster type of guy, I'm gonna be called this. You know, there's actually a Mexican rapper now. He's going by like Lefty Guns or something like that. Shout out to my brother Lefty. But, you know, he dropped that and went with Left, and he doesn't really do music anymore. But nonetheless, there's a Mexican rapper out there who goes by Lefty Guns. But Lefty Guns used to be like that's a mobster name.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like you take these monikers from Mafia or, you know.
Machine Gun Kelly.
I don't know if that's coming from, is that coming from something else? It might have.
That's an actual gangster from back in the day. He was
that's
real
right.
person,
Yep.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Or like Capone, there's Al Capone, but then they had other Capones, like Capone and Noriega. You know,
true, Noriega,
it's like,
yep.
You know, when they were doing these things, they were basically adopting names of things that they were just so into. Like, oh, that was the, you know, that was the biggest gangster in gangster land. So I'm going to run with that name because that's how I picture and that's how I view myself, what they stood for.
And taking it and put it in a music aspect.
Yeah.
I can see that work more often. Like these dudes are gangsters. They take a gangster's name, put it in the music, make the name more infamous.
Right.
And then I guess it works in that regard, you know?
John Gotti was like a famous mobster that ended up getting fucked up because he was too flashy. But then you have Yo Gotti. It's just the name of Gotti makes you think of luxury. Just the name in itself, the branding behind the name is what makes you want to take it. And I'm going to flip it this way.
Yeah, like if someone was to use the name Escobar or something.
Yes,
like
Nas. Nas used to be Nas Escobar.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like the same shit. Like we all fantasize and romanticize, I guess you could say, of that gangster lifestyle and all these people that really were just outlaws to the government and did shit they were beating their own drum to their own, you know what I'm saying, their own line. They were doing their own motherfucking thing. They wasn't following no rules. And we've always romanticized and fantasized.
So it signifies something deeper than just the name. I feel you. Even Kevin Gates with Luca Brasi.
Word.
You know, like
Word.
now that we're really diving into it, I'm noticing the patterns, you know? So yeah.
Right.
The names are real deep and it signifies a lot for these artists. And it's even the mindless ones that we think are mindless, they actually stand for something. Like we were saying, those little 3-letter abbreviations, they stand for some gang, some crew that might be 50, 100 deep somewhere. Right. That we don't know, you know? We don't know them, but it's significant to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, like people in Florida, Cali, wherever, they don't know GGF, but we know GGF.
Right.
If you come out from Fitchburg, Central Massachusetts, Worcester County, you know GGF and you know what it's about. So it's significant to us. We would have put GGF in front of our name. We go out there, they're like, what is that?
Right.
You know, but it's kind of crazy. And I think that was very interesting how the names get twisted there and how they use them.
To like answer that question though, I really don't know if it really matters or not. I just do think that the evolution for me specifically, I feel like it needed to happen. Like I can't picture myself not being Kaseek Ortiz. Only once in a while do I change my name? Because people will say my name wrong. And I always face that shit. But I mean, I've also heard LaRussell, his name is very easy to say, but I've heard people be like La Russell, and they'll have like a different accent to the name. And it's like, all right.
Simple names, butchered.
Right.
Oh my God. They can't even say Tyrant, half the people. Like, Tyrant? Ain't Tyrant?
Right.
What?
Motherfucker, you don't speak? You didn't learn that?
A lot of people don't know how to read, half the people out there. And
respectfully, well.
You know, we got hooked on phonics still. We're going to be selling that. Check the link in the description after the show.
For real. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a hooked on phonics kid, so you know what I'm saying? I could be a review for that. You know what I'm saying? That should help me win spelling bees and shit.
But yeah, you know, always give your input on these topics for us. Drop some engagement in the content. We're gonna respond to those. Let us know what your dumb rap name is so we can critique that.
Right.
And tell you if it's good or not.
Tell you if the shit's whack or not.
Yeah.
And then we could like just call each other whack and degrade each other.
You can tell us why our names suck. We can tell y'all why y'all names suck. Right. You know, you can keep calling me Chris Bosh outside my name.
Everybody's Chris Boshing you. Yeah. Now I just reply to you as a GIF every time for you.
I'm his cuz, man.
Right. This is Chris Bosh. I don't look like anybody but me. Actually, who they say in the comments I look like? They said somebody, and I looked them up, and I was like, damn, I kind of look like him too. And you know what's funny, bro? Now that we're actually on the subject, because obviously I usually do braids, and I showed you my man, Hex, who's a rapper. I was like, yo, doesn't this dude look like me? And I remember messaging him. I was like, hey, bro. I was like, hey, bro, why you look like me? I also like pretend beef shit. And I was like, nah, I'm just fucking with you, bro. Like, you got some fire music. I was like, I hope that we can do a record soon. But anyways, somebody was in the comment section saying I look like somebody. Look that dude up. I was like, damn, I kind of do look like that.
They'd be kind of on point. Like,
and then that dude Hex is actually cool with that dude that they said I look like.
Oh my God.
And I was like, yo, we could make the Three Amigos type shit. Like, we have to do something different.
Parallel universe?
For real.
Someone call me D'Anthony Melton. Why is always some basketball nigga that I look like?
At least you look like that.
Rajon Rondo and fucking, what's that dude in Falcon? Black Falcon?
Yes, yeah. I forgot. I always forget that motherfucker's name.
I forget his name too. Papa Doc.
Because now he's the, yeah, Papa Doc. He's Papa Doc, dude. He's
so
Clarence.
These are all names that are
and Clarence had really nice parents.
Shit, man.
Had a really good marriage.
And then, you know, you also see these artists with a million different fucking names too. Like they have their first rap name, then they have their like nickname, and then they have the name that the streets call them, and then they have some of these rappers. I guess you're not a real good rapper unless you have
in
like
the streets. Everybody
nicknames.
still calls me X,
like
between
Jay-Z,
Rough Riders
Hov.
and everything. Right?
He's got like 5 different nicknames
for real, for real.
You know,
Jigga, all that. Like, but
yeah, you know that's the episode, motherfuckers. So figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Get a good name. Do better. And follow us here.
Maybe if y'all hop in the comments, we can all come up with names together.
Yeah.
For each other.
Like,
or just for y'all.
Like idiot.
Yeah. little idiot. Little pump fake.
But yeah, we'll be back at you with another one soon.
Peace.
All right, we back, motherfuckers. We had something else to say that we got off track a little bit there.
Right.
But we wanted to bring up something that was vital within that whole name change topic. So when you change your name, always keep this in mind, artists out there, that you're going to be starting your SEO from scratch, your search engine optimization, which is what you've built up, all those hashtags, all those articles of media that you've compiled, every show you've did, everything you've done that's compiled on Google and all these search engines that kind of signifies and directs fans to you.
Yeah,
you're going to have to start from scratch with that because you have a whole new identifier and a whole new name or alias that identifies you. And that's not even talking about the nightmare it might be on the music back end with the publishing and the distribution possibly and your PRO.
Distribution might be a little bit easy because you're literally just going to be signing up as a new artist. Publishing, you probably just leave it as is and you'll collect as that. But like I said, that dude Problem in that episode, or you know, this episode, I actually said Problem just changed his name to Jason. Now that his name is Jason, all of his old projects have been renamed under Jason. So he figured out a way to just, you know, I'm just gonna rename them, and obviously he owns his masters to be able to do that. If he didn't own his masters, he probably would have had to keep that as a separate entity, basically. But I know that when I did change my name, I had to go through that rebranding phase, and I kept finding myself being like AKA, or also known as, or formerly known as Jason X, X-rated.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was so annoying. It was like the first sentence became a fucking mouthful. It was like, bro, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like, you're Kaseek Ortiz, AKA Jason X, AKA X-rated with the 4-7 and the 18. Like, it was just like
AKA Batman.
Right. Like all the section. Oh, because that's what it used to be. Jason X. It was Jason X, then Jason X, The Dark Knight. Like, it was just like, I was like, yo, too much variations. Because in my brain, I was trying to do the whole Jay-Z, Hove, and all that shit. And it was like, yo, it's just too much of a motherfucking mouthful. Nobody knows what to call me.
Yeah, and it can get confusing for fans. People are trying to identify you.
Yeah.
Find your old work, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, so
ever since I changed my name, I don't even promote the old work. Only in the Visionverse series that I've done is where I kind of take out music that I did when I was like legit like 15, 16, and I'll do a video for it. So like, if y'all don't like that shit, just understand that shit's like 10 plus years old, but I'm just making content for it. So, you know, I never really pushed those records up until now.
It's hard, and I get it, artists. It could be hard to keep the same name that you had since you were 15 years old.
Yeah, and that was
when you're
me.
a completely different man, completely different person. You got to keep the same name now for the SEO.
Lil Wayne was literally Lil Wayne.
That's what
since he was like 8 years old.
Ben Grizz.
Right.
He's not going to change that name, you know, and that's going to be beneficial on the. It'll be beneficial on the SEO aspect of thing. On your personal growth aspect of things, who the fuck cares?
Right.
You started the moniker anyway, roll with it.
Right.
Stick with it, you know, and make it pop. But I can get it if it's something that just completely doesn't stand with you. Then if that's the case, be ready for that rebranding, that SEO change, and just ride that out. But the more you do it, the more you're going to have to go through it.
If you fail forward faster, you'll get to it. And honestly, if you change your moniker or your stage name, as you would call it, you know what I'm saying? If you're flooding the gates with brand new content, they're going to forget that old name real quick. As long as you're super consistent of like, yo, I'm Kaseek Ortiz now. Here's Matt Kaseek Ortiz shit. And I'm just...
Yeah, you do it harder than you ever did as the old branding you had.
Right.
And that'll work.
For sure.
But yeah, we had to give you that. Now, go back to figuring it the fuck out.
Facts.